Today's deep dive is special and different. This is a 4-part video series, but the best part is you can watch this one and then go watch the first 3, or go watch those first 3 and come back to this one. What you're going to see is a G&L ASAT special being built, and then it arrives here, and then we go through and we deep dive it and learn everything about it. Today's video, I'm gonna wear their shirt to say thank you. So what do we have? We have a G&L ASAT special. And it is a beautiful guitar in this beautiful purple. And the important part of this is not a special custom shop guitar. This is a production guitar. This is an alder body with a beautiful metallic purple on it. Has a maple neck with a rosewood fretboard with a matching painted headstock. Has standard G&L tuners. These are not locking. It has MFD pickups, which we will go through in the deep dive. Volume, tone, 3-way switch, and of course, their bridge. So let's get into the geeky stuff. Okay, first thing I want to show you in the geek stuff is it comes with a gig bag. And so this gig bag is, I'd say, the same quality as what you see the nicer Fender gig bags. It says G&L in red right here. I like to do this when I show the gig bags, hold it in the middle. You can see it's kind of firm. Some of the cheaper bags fold in half. Some of them droop a little bit like this one. So just let you know how firm of a bag it is. It's medium padding is what I'd call it. One of the things I wanted to also show you was the finish. This thing is sparkly, beautifully done. If you get it on a stage or outside, it's just gonna come alive. Look at that. It's just almost like they're moving. Just looks beautiful. And again, that headstock looks absolutely gorgeous. So let's talk about how it came out of the box set up. So out of the box, the neck has a slight amount of relief in it. We're doing that by pushing down on the 1st fret and the last fret, just tapping somewhere on the 12th fret. And we can see there's a little play in the string. So we know the neck has a little bit of relief. Action. This is, again, how it came stock. So we have 1.75 millimeters off the 12th fret. That would be lower than what we typically get guitars. If you guys watch a lot of deep dives, you know that the average guitar was usually sitting around 2 millimeters off the 12th fret. So this is a little bit lower than that. Another thing we're talking about is the nut, and it is bone, and it is cut perfectly. When pushing down on the 3rd fret, checking, there's absolutely no gap there. It is absolutely fantastic and executed beautifully. Let's go ahead and check the frets to see if there's any dead spots. Okay, so no dead spots, of course, but no buzzing either. It feels pretty good. The frets feel highly polished when we do bends on them, so they feel pretty good. Let's go ahead and do the sock test. This is also important to mention that the guitar has been sitting here for a month. So we sit on the guitars for at least 2 weeks to a month, sometimes a little longer, to make sure they acclimate so that we're not just opening another box and giving you a first response. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the sock test. Let's go ahead and try the treble side. And look at that. I'll do that one more time. That's a 10 out of a 10. The bass side, and that is also a 10 out of 10. But more importantly, we want to do the bridge and see how that feels, and that's actually probably the most impressive thing. There's no rough spots at all. It feels great. When I ordered this guitar, I specified a few things. So with G&L, you can pick different neck sizes. There's a modern classic, a slim C, a classic C, a classic plus C, a classic wide C. It just goes on. There's even a V-neck. I picked the modern classic. I thought that's going to feel the most like a kind of modern Fender neck profile. If you watch the videos of this guitar being made, you know a couple things. First, you'll see that this is laser cut into the neck. So this is not a decal. This, you can feel it in the neck itself. The neck is a flat sawn, one-piece maple neck. Let's go ahead and do some measurements. Let's look at the thickness of the 1st fret. Measuring the nut, it's 1.685 or 42.80 millimeters, which is 1 11/16. And the thickness at the 12th fret, we're at 52.34 millimeters or 2.060. Thickness of the neck at the 1st fret is 0.863 or 21.92 millimeters. And the thickness at the 12th fret, 23.38 millimeters or 0.920. All right, let's go ahead and see what frets are on here. And looking at the fret width, we're sitting in at 2.84 millimeters or 0.112. And let's go ahead and look at the height. And looking at the height, we are at 0.059 or 1.50 millimeters. So according to those measurements, these are jumbo frets, which are also nickel silver. Now, their carve is going to be very, very similar to Fender's, obviously, because Leo Fender was involved in designing this guitar. So let's take a look and see how close of a profile this neck is. So looking right here, you can see that it's got the Fender C profile on the neck. And again, it's pretty much the same shape. So definitely if you're familiar with the Fender C carve, I would call this a modern C carve. Again, this is what I was going for, something very traditional feeling. That fretboard, we know it's 9.5, but we'll double check that. And yes, that is definitely a 9.5-inch radius on the neck, which is what we expected. And the fretboard is nicely rounded. It feels well worked in, like a vintage instrument. So let's go ahead and check the truss rod. And what we have is a double action truss rod, or double acting truss rod, which means not only can it tighten the neck so the neck goes straight, which is important, it can give relief or it can cause a back bow. That just means it's very easy to dial in the neck to be really, really nice. It's just a nice feature on a neck in today's day and age. Why would you want that? It really helps if you get carried away with some of the Gages strings. Like if you went to 13s on this, you would really need to tighten that truss rod. But let's say you went to 8s, you might have to force the neck a little bit to give you a little bit of relief if you want some. And so just something to like think about. Or 7s. Sometimes you can go 7s. This is where the guitar really starts departing and get really interesting. So the first thing I want to talk about that makes this guitar super unique is the saddle block bridge. This is a very unique design. First of all, it does not string through the body. As you know, originally the Fender Telecasters did not string through the body as well. A lot of them were coming through the back. And so that's, again, more traditional. But what makes this different is how it's installed the body. We're gonna go ahead and take it off and show you that. The bridge is not just top mounted. It's actually set into the body. You can see here it has a plug. This plug allows it to set into the body. Why is that important? Well, Leo believed it actually helped transfer more vibrations into the guitar. Instead of just sitting on the top and letting the strings kind of resonate off the bridge, this plug kind of makes this guitar more symbiotic. As you can see, it doesn't move. I'm shaking my own bench. That's not all he thought about. Check this out. Not only do you have 6 individual saddles, which are great for intonation, you have an adjustment screw on the side. And what this adjustment screw does is it allows you to tighten it down, and it puts force against all these saddles. So you see how these saddles are all loose like normally? Let's go ahead and tighten it down. Watch what happens if I push them down, come here to the side, and tighten that adjustment screw. Screw is right there, see that? It's turning this into one-piece bridge. The idea with Leo, again, was more resonance. Just be a little tighter and giving more resonance to the guitar. Does this stuff work? Who knows? But what's great is to know that Leo was putting effort into improving designs. He put a lot of thought into this. Obviously, there's a lot of thought put into what is basically a simple-looking bridge. And for those curious what this wire is, this is the ground wire that's going to ground the bridge to the electronics. It's important in every guitar that the bridge is grounded, because the strings touch the bridge and then touch the electronics. When you touch the strings, you ground off the guitar, which is important. That's where you eliminate the humming. Now that I have the pick guard off, let's go ahead and look at these electronics. A couple things to note is that there's no shielding on the back of the pick guard because the pickups are not mounted to the pick guard. They're directly mounted into the body. That's important to see right there. The pick guard is just for aesthetic. Let's look at the electronics cavity. So the first thing you're going to notice, or at least I'm going to show you, is that there is no shielding inside the cavity. That's something I'd like to see added. That's a nice feature. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put some conductive shielding paint inside this cavity. Now I know you can use shielding tape as well, but the thing about tape is you want to definitely take and desolder and take all these wires out of there, then go ahead and wrap the tape around the cavity and then poke holes with a X-Acto knife for the wires, run them through. But with paint, we can just paint everywhere. To do that, it's super easy. I'm going to use conductive shielding paint right here. I have been using this for a very, very long time. This can will last you all forever. This can that I bought is at least 8 years old. First thing I'm going to do is just run a little drop cloth right here. Use this paintbrush, dip it in the paint. You just carefully paint it in here. You will need to do 2 coats and make sure all the paint has 100% contact with each other. You can tape off these wires. You can use painter's tape. I've really never had to go to that extreme. You just move them slightly out of your way. Once you finish the first coat, wait 24 hours and you add a second coat, and you might have to add in a third. This is a little harder because it's dark purple. And like all projects, I recommend a lot of light. I will put a link to the light I'm using here, so you can check it out at Home Depot or Amazon. I'm also going to repeat this process and paint the cavities for the pickups. So now that you've finished painting the cavity, let's go ahead and test the shielding paint. I got a meter right here, and you use your 2 probes and you just make 2 contacts. The first 2 I want to make is at the bottom, okay? Let's go ahead and touch a side and a bottom. The other side. Now these 2 sides. There you go. And there you go. Your cavity is now shielded. Some of the benefits of shielding your control cavity is reducing the outside interference or noise that you get. Some of those noises can be hum, or it can actually be radio frequencies. It'll reduce those dramatically. Another thing it'll help with, especially on a metallic finish guitar, is reducing how much static charge you can get. Sometimes you get a static charge from either the pickguard or the guitar, and this will help reduce that a little. Let's look at these controls, shall we? These are 2 250K potentiometers, so they have a treble bleed standard on the guitar. Here is your capacitor for your tone control, and then you have a 3-way blade switch, which is a mechanical mechanism and not a PC board. Let's look at these pickups. So these are the MFD pickups that are constantly confused with P90s. Their design is much different. It's a very unique design. In fact, it's more like the Jazzmaster. Haha, makes a lot of sense, right? Leo Fender did the Jazzmaster, he did this, so it makes sense that they would be more like the Jazzmaster and less like a P90. What you have is a single ceramic bar magnet. On a P90, you would have 2 ceramic or Alnico bar magnets on each side of the pole pieces, or the screws, I should say. These screws are Allen screws, not flathead or Phillips. You have a fiber bobbin pickup, and then you can see it's very narrow. You see here, so the depth of the pickup is important because obviously the deeper the bobbin, the more winds of wire you can get on here. The interesting thing though is there's a steel base plate at the bottom, just like a Telecaster pickup, because obviously again, Leo Fender. What this seems to be, this is the evolution of the Telecaster pickup. These pickups deliver a lot of punch, and it's in the design, and part of that is because of the magnetic field. Adding the plate at the bottom, just like adding a plate at the bottom of a Tele pickup, changes the shape of the magnetic field and gives it a much different sound. This pickup is not as aggressive sounding as the P90, where it's a bigger but slightly softer sound. When we meter them, you're going to notice a couple things. Let's do that. So looking at the bridge, we're coming in at 5.05K. To give you a reference, the John Mayer Silver Sky pickups are 6.65, 6.66. So they don't have as much resistance as a Silver Sky pickup. The inductance on this is 2.28. Because it's a ceramic magnet, plus it has that back plate on it. Let's go ahead and look at the neck pickup. And the neck pickup is coming in at 4.75. So again, you get the idea. If we were looking at just this number, we would think these pickups are going to be weak. They're not going to push the amp very hard. But when we look at those inductance numbers, 2.19, we're expecting these pickups to have a little bit of punch like a P90, but without the bite is what I would kind of expect. Again, a little softer. So some might be curious whether they're noiseless or not. These are single coils, so they're not noiseless. However, in the middle position, you have the bridge facing south and the neck facing north. So in the middle position, you will have hum canceling. Now, price-wise, these start at about $1,700, and they can go up to well over $2,000, depending on what options you pick. However, something to mention that if you watch those 3 build videos, you're going to notice that these guitars, the G&Ls, are built more like Fender Custom Shop than Fender production guitars. Something to mention is that they do have an import version, and that one starts around the 550 range, but what's really cool is it uses the exact same pickups. And in the comparison of this guitar, it has the same radius fretboard, and the necks are very similar to the one I picked. The bridge is also going to be extremely similar, and these guitars are made in Indonesia. If you'd like to see a deep dive of the tribute series, please put a comment down below, give the video a like and a subscribe, and that will let me know that I need to do that video. And I know some of you want to know the weight of the guitar. This one came in at 8.15 pounds, but keep in mind you can get it chambered as well if you want it a little lighter. But like I always say, none of those specifications matter until you play the guitar and hear the guitar and see how it feels and sounds. I'm running through a Synergy Syn 50 head, that's a 50-watt tube head, with a Dr. Z module for the gain, and I have a Bassman module for the clean. I'm running a Atlantic NuX reverb pedal. So let's go through the sounds. I'm going to start with the neck position. Here we go. Let's go to the middle position. Also sounds really full for chords. Here we go. And of course, that bridge pickup. Let's check that out. All right, let's go ahead and switch it to the Dr. Z Z-Rec. And we'll start with the bridge position. Here we go. The pickups were the star of the show. They definitely have a variety of sounds that give you that Telecaster, but a little bit bigger. It's just a bigger Telecaster, a fuller sounding Telecaster. If you like Telecasters, this will feel super familiar to you and you will probably appreciate what they're doing a little bit more, a little differently. If you're not a Telecaster fan, this might be the guitar that will make you be a Telecaster fan. And this seems to bring in some warmth and fullness to that sound. That's really cool. So it definitely gives it a very familiar but slightly unique sound. The guitar is put together really, really well. If you watch those 3 videos, it's almost hard not to like this guitar before you even open it out of the gig bag. It's an insane amount of work and they're still doing so much stuff by hand. I was still in shock. Just the way they're building the guitars, this is more in line with Fender Custom Shop and how Fender Custom Shop does stuff. I have to say I was impressed. I hope you guys were impressed as well. I suggest you guys check one out. Like I said, there's an import version too that's worth checking out. On that note, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out to the end of the video. Till the next time. Now, I wanted to share this as a bonus. I received this with the guitar. This is an actual letter from the owner, Dave, of G&L. What he did, it's great. Not only did he write me a beautiful note just saying, enjoy the guitar, thanks for doing the collab, you know, have fun. He wanted to also let me know this is actual letterhead from Leo Fender's desk and Leo Fender's business card. So I thought I'd share this with you. That's a nice little gift. So of course I framed it and put it in my office. Know your gear.